Welcome to Chris Parkin Shooting Sports. Right, you've seen this rifle in use. It's been quite fun to shoot, I will be honest about that. It's just one of those reviews that's been very easy because everything's worked straight out of the box, no problems at all. Other than zeroing it, the first bullets would have been in the centre of the target and the groups were together very quickly. So let's give you the full review on this rifle, and I'm going to take this nice and steady and I'm going to work from front to back in sequence. Right. So, CZ600 MDT Deep Bronze, this is the SRS skeleton stock or chassis, and it is pretty much everything you need for a precision rifle. The rifle's actually made by CZ in 6mm, 6.5mm Creedmoor as well, and 308. This one's a 308, and I think the most popular ones are going to be the 6mm and the 6.5 Creedmoor because those are probably the most appropriate for PRS shooters. But 308 is just such an easy cartridge to live with. It's going to do everything you ever want out to 800 meters, and I've shot more 308s than I can even imagine, and they rarely ever disappoint. Easy to get ammunition for, and you can use military surplus, you can use premium match ammunition, no problem at all. Right, starting at the front. This rifle has a 24-inch 610mm barrel. It's 22mm in diameter, heavy barrel, and it's got a 1 in 10-inch twist rate, so it'll stabilise 175 and a little bit heavier bullets as well, without any great detriment to the lighter ones. It's a 4-groove barrel, it's cold hammer forged. I say 22mm in diameter, and it's threaded 18x1 at the muzzle, and it comes with this 3-port brake fitted. That does reduce recoil massively. They are a bit noisy. That's a choice for you. Personally, I like moderators or nothing at all, but 308's not particularly barky, particularly recoil heavy, but PRS shooters do like to be able to spot their own bullets in flight, their own impact, and of course cutting recoil is massively helpful to that, to maintain your optical picture. Let's look at the action now. So this is the medium size action from CZ. It's 600 action. I've done quite a few reviews on the CZ 600 and I will add the link to that because you can see a lot about it. It's a steel action. There's a Picatinny rail machined as part of it, and that's a zero inclination Picatinny rail. Easy to put scope mounts on. If you do want to add inclined scope mounts, you can do that, but most shooters with a large, premium scope like this Night Force Attack are here, they're just not going to need additional elevation, to shoot normal distances. These have got masses of elevation travel within. The trigger is adjustable in 4 stages. It goes from 600 to 1300 grams, and there's a little Allen screw there. Click, 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 4 stages. You can set it to which one you want. This one's breaking at 600. It's on the lightest one, and I've been quite happy using it. The magazine system, there's a magazine release lever at the front there, and you can see it's got an MDT magazine, but this is AICS pattern, which is Accuracy International Chassis System. These magazines are massively easily available from all sorts of sources, but this one does actually have a proprietary follower on it, which doesn't matter so much for the 308, but I think in the 6mm Creedmoor particularly, that little sort of pair of feed ramps at the front there will help massively in terms of cycling your ammunition. It's a 10 rounder, you can get 5s as well. Importantly, if you do just drop a single round through the ejection port and close the bolt, it will load instantly, so you've got no addition, you've got no problem with backup shots or anything like that. And there are mounts on the side of the chassis here if you want to add an additional, dual round ammunition holder there. You can see on the video, that's pretty easy to reach. It just drops out, they fit in perfectly. These ARCS magazines have been around for a long time. They're used because they're tough, durable, the steel, they last a long time. I've never worn one out, and I've got 5 or 6 rifles that use them myself. So the bolt is a 6-lug bolt, and it's a 60-degree lift. Now, one of the things a few people have commented on the little preview video on this is the fact that you do have to drop the cheek piece out of the way to remove the bolt. So let's just drop that cheek piece out of the way. Some people think this is an enormous problem, but I think in most scenarios you're only going to put the bolt in and out once on a day, and you're going to use a breech flag the rest of the time. The bolt release lever is on the side here. Got that comes out there. Let me just pop that bipod back up straight and level. So this is the CZ600 bolt. It's a semi-controlled feed, so you do get smooth operation on it. The most important thing to remember is those 6 lugs give you a 60-degree lift. You can see that on the video of me shooting it. It's light, smooth, there's plenty of primary extraction. And drawing that bolt back, this little pin here, which you can see popping in and out of the bolt face like that, that hits a stop at the back of the action. So the actual ejection force you get for the brass, it depends entirely on how hard you pull that bolt back. So if you don't want to kick the brass far and wide, you can draw it back slowly and then just physically finger extract the round from the top here where it'll sit on top of the magazine. If you do want to kick the round out, you know, fast fire, making sure you're operating quickly in competition, you just pull it back smartly and it will kick it out about 6 or 8 feet, I think it was, when I was shooting prone with it. I was picking brass up from far and wide afterwards, but you can feel that spring tension here just on that little stop there, and that's the spring you just saw me operate with that ejector pin on it. Super light bolt. I have no problems, no doubts, no concerns about it at all. I've used it on every CZ600 rifle. It has worked perfectly on every single one, whether they were 223s or 308s or anything else other than that. 7.62, 39s, all sorts. Those aren't calibers in this rifle, but it's the similar system with similar actions. That bolt handle, it's not too long. Looks like about 70mm. Let's have a little look at that. Yes, it is 70mm, and it's got on the end a 20mm teardrop on the end. Again, it's not been too long. Bolt handles that are too long have a tendency to jam actions because they torque the bolt sort of linear, and this one, you know, you can slam that shut and it just doesn't want to jam. If I push that deliberately out in that direction, even then it hardly doesn't, you know, it just doesn't jam up, and that's really what you want from a rifle. It's just going to give you no problems at all. Okay, you've got to drop the cheek piece to get it in and out, but big deal, it's just not an issue. So you've seen the bolt, you've seen the trigger. Now the safety catch is slightly different on this 600 because on most of the 600s, the safety catch is a plunger that goes through behind the tang. But on this competition chassis, it's actually a lever. And that lever is ambidextrous. You can use it either side. And when it's on safe, it locks the bolt. But if you press the bolt release lever down, you can still have a completely safe unload. Because back in fire position, the bolt is unlocked again. Put it in safe, bolt's locked. You know, you can see it, you get used to it, everything works fine, it's all perfectly operable. You get used to any rifle's operating system after a while, but the point is this one is simple straight away, it's effective, there are no real handling caveats. As soon as you learn the controls all work. Right, so that's pretty much everything about the rifle in terms of the action and the barrel. I'm a metric guy, my range happens to be set up at 100 metres, not 100 yards. This rifle is guaranteed at 0.75 MOA for a 5-shot group using premium match ammunition. All the groups I shot using premium match ammunition, 168 grain Hornady ELD M's, meet that standard or beat it, so I have no problems with confidence in this rifle. Were I to be shooting it competitively, anything like that, I'd be completely happy with that ELDM ammunition. I could hand load for it and probably go a teeny little bit better, but the point is factory match ammo does exactly what CZ said it will, and you get good velocities as well because it's a 24-inch barrel, it's not a short barrel. That's all available on screen on the chronograph data as well with the ammunition type I used. I did shoot at a little bit longer range, but I was using some other ammunition which wasn't premium match ammunition, and it did actually still shoot very well, but it wasn't as good as the Hornady, which is what I judge the rifle by. Right, let's talk about the chassis. This is an aluminium chassis end to end. It's Cerakoted in the deep bronze colour, and we have got along the sides a load of M-lock slots. Put all your balancing weights on as you want, any accessories. There's M-lock on the underside, and there is also an Arca rail on the underside of the forend too. The forend is stiff and stable, and I've been able to shoot it off this Tier 1 bipod, no problems at all. It's stiff, it's stable, it absolutely remains pointing where you need it to, and of course the recoil is very, very light with it. The gun itself is quite heavy, so you've no real problem spotting your own impacts. If you're a PRS shooter and you're interested, there's a barricade stop on the front here. That's got serrations on it there, so it'll grip into your bag or anything like that if you've got that on top of a tripod setup. I also used it with a tripod setup with the Arca clamped in there. That's a great way of shooting it. Depends on what you're wanting to shoot competitively or not. But it works perfectly, as does the bipod. This Tier 1 bipod, I can pop it up even taller, just like that, or I could slick it down a little bit lower and just give me that little bit more comfortable position when I've been shooting prone, which is my preferred type of shooting to get the real impression of a rifle's precision capability. So you can see throughout the length of the rifle we've got various facets, machining, reduces a bit of weight, gives it a bit more style, otherwise it'd look very slab-sided. We've got more accessory slots here, you can see the little M-lock logo there. There are, at the front and at the back, we've got slots for a QD sling as well. Probably not maybe going to be used in a competition rifle, but if you do need them, they are there. Now, what is the big difference between this and the tungsten grey one that I tested a few months ago? Well, the main difference is the back end of the stock. So here we've got the full skeletonized back end of the SRS from MDT. And what we essentially get is we've got locking screws here for the adjustable cheek piece. And that adjustable cheek piece has got a dial adjuster on it there, and it will move up and down as you like it and set it exactly in position. It is a little bit slower than having a complete quick release system, but it is totally solid. And one thing about this, the deep bronze over the grey version, is you do have a slightly more solid firing feel on it. There's no flexibility, there's no movement at all. The grey version is very good, I'm not going to detract from that. This one is just a little bit better, but it is more expensive, so you take your choices. So you can see we've got the adjustment on there. We can lock that with those two dials on the side, but if I just show you now on the ceiling camera, you can see we have also got lateral cheek piece movement. We can move that completely parallel laterally, or we can move it at an angle to do it exactly as you want it. That makes the rifle superbly comfortable, and I think that's a great factor because too many rifles have adjustable cheek pieces which are too bulky, or they have a good cheek piece which isn't necessarily laterally adjustable, and this kind of combines both. It's quite a broad cheek piece, but it does fit under your cheekbone. It's narrow and you've got space for your jaw in this area here without displacing your head. And I think it's massively important to be able to keep your head level and not have it canted over to one side by too fat a cheek piece. So that lateral adjustability is a huge plus point in my opinion, and it's quick and easy to do just like that. So I'll just nip that back in place there now. The other cool thing about this stock is it's got linear adjustment on the retrievable grip itself. So that's a removable grip. You can put whatever grip on you want that will fit the chassis system, but this one that's supplied, it's a very vertical grip, but I've actually slackened this off already. That will move backwards and forwards. Or did I actually retighten it? Just undo these screws on the side. And that gives me about 9mm of trigger reach adjustment. Can you see that there, the way that that's moving backwards and forwards? And you can set the trigger reach exactly as you want. And if I measure that now from maximum to minimum, at its maximum, that's giving me 83mm to the throat of the grip. And at the minimum, that is giving me 73mm. So that gives you an idea of how much you can adjust this stock. I personally, on the very vertical grips, I do like to keep them quite long. I just find that I've got longer fingers and it will suit me, but different shooters want different things, and the adjustability means it's all there good for you. Nip that back in place, and I have now got, just straighten out that bipod, I've now got quite a long reach to the trigger there. I'm almost onto the tip of my finger, not the pad, but actually I tend to prefer that, and the trigger is super crisp. So you do want to make sure you've got nice position for it. I think, to be honest, I would maybe move that forward a tiny little bit, but that's good, because if it's a little bit long at the maximum, but there's a nice medium setting, well, that says it's perfect, doesn't it? Because I can set it exactly where I want it. Now you can see the Cerakotes throughout the whole chassis system, all matches up beautifully. We've also got on the underside another M-lock slot there. We could put a monopod on it if we want to, and then at the back end we have the adjustable length of pull. Now this length of pull is adjustable through about 30mm. Let me just double check the length on that as it is in front of me. 29mm. So that is the adjustment we've got, and of course it's got the same rotating screw thread adjuster, and you can lock it in position with the knob there. That's fine. And it's also got vertical recoil pad adjustment as well, so you can pop that up there and you do get a super comfortable position on this rifle. And of course, for a PRS shooter shooting from multiple positions, you do need to optimize that for the fact you're going to be changing shooting positions. But if you're just shooting prone or anything like that, and you want this just as an everyday range rifle, it is phenomenally comfortable and it will be easy to shoot all day. Take that muzzle brake off the end if you don't want a muzzle brake, pop a moderator on, pop nothing on it if you don't want to, because the rifle is heavy. It is 5.6 kilograms, which is 12.3 pounds. That's without the scope or anything like that, so it cuts recoil a lot. Of course, you've no muzzle jump, anything like that, and because you've got a nice linear line of recoil coming through to the recoil pad, which is adjustable, you can make sure you keep what recoil there is totally under control, and you're effectively lowering that bore line compared to your shoulder, which stops the muzzle jumping as well. If you imagine the bore line was up here and your shoulder point's there, well, it's going to tip around more, isn't it? But down here it's more linear. So those are some of the impressions and opinions of it. I enjoyed shooting it. With a gun mine, I wouldn't have a brake on it. I'm not a brake fan, but that is that. You've got a locking screw here and you can lock that recoil pad if you want to. Similarly, you can lock all the adjustments down if you want to, and you run no risk then of anything coming loose, anything moving. But to be fair, those little dials on the side, they've got good angles and shape on them, so you can get a good grip on them without actually having to use too much finger tension at all. Overall length is 1140 to 1170mm, which is 44.8 to 46 inches. Length of pull goes from 320 to 350mm, which is 12.5 to 13.7 inches. Right, I hope you've enjoyed watching that review. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, click the notification bell and keep track of the regular uploads. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.